This video will cover how you can get this incredible Iron Eye build going for every single run in Nightreign, because right now Iron Eye is hands down the most broken Nightfarer in the game, and probably the best character if you're playing solo, and even as a team Iron Eye could be the one who carries. This video will cover the exact playstyle, the best relics and talismans that you might need for this build. Now, everything lies on the fact that Iron Eye has a much faster moveset with bows compared to other characters, with basically no trade-off in damage. Along with this, the key is using your marking skill all the time. Seriously, the measure of how well you're doing with this character is how often you're using marking when it's available. Marked enemies take about 10% more damage from all sources for 15 seconds, and it's not just you, your entire team gets a damage boost against anything you've marked. The skill has a 12-second cooldown, so you can pretty much always have this debuff active. But the mark won't always last the full 15 seconds though. If you deal enough damage, it ends early. But that's a good thing, because if you deal enough damage while the mark is active, it breaks and deals a huge burst, kind of like when bleed procs. It'll deal flat damage plus a percentage scaling. With the right buffs, it absolutely melts enemies. In fact, the mark break hits so hard on stance and stagger damage that you're able to break stances with a bow just as easily as with any heavy strength build thanks to this skill. Oh, and did I mention this thing has iframes? You can use this skill as essentially a broken dodge that also makes enemies take more damage. The dash covers excellent distance, letting you reposition, and it's especially useful in fights where getting close to a boss is dangerous. You could just slide right through them, mark them, and end up safely behind them. But now what if I said instead of one, you could have 2 charges of your mark skill? Yeah, let's talk about the best relics and talismans for Iron Eye. While we gotta hope we get good RNG on our side, there's some relics that we could definitely use all the time. If you complete Iron Eye's remembrance quests, you get these 2 relics. In fact, if you come across any relic that buffs your marking skill, you probably want to grab it. Along with these, there's a couple boss relics that are really OP. There's a boss relic that boosts damage when switching weapons, and there's also a weapon buff that scales off that. Most characters can't take full advantage. Switching in melee is risky, and getting matching weapons is tough. But Iron Eye? He's playing ranged, he is safe. You can swap between bows when you run out of stamina, and you're basically doubling your damage output. Seriously, nothing else needs to be said, it's busted. For the talismans, some great choices are the Arrow's Sting Talisman and the Arrow's Reach Talisman, both of which will heavily buff your attack damage. Then the Spear Talisman, which buffs counterattacks by 20%. Counterattacks are basically any attacks you deal when the enemy winds up an attack, and Iron Eye does that constantly with his bow. Also anything that boosts endurance, like the Green Turtle Talisman. Stamina recovery on attack keeps your rapid fire pace going. Dexterity boosts give direct damage because of bow scaling, and endurance increases mean more stamina, which equals more sustained DPS. So with that, Iron Eye might be the single best character for solo play, just as he is an absolute monster for team play. Let me explain how. In solo play, you really want to focus more on critical hit damage. Since you're the only one who can follow up on staggers with crits, get a nice melee weapon for crits and some passive boost to crit damage if possible. For solo boss fights, especially night bosses without timers, you can play it super safely by staying as far away as possible while still dealing damage. You can also use your ultimate more defensively in solo play. Since it has iframes and you can hold it before releasing, you can use it just for immunity to avoid scary attacks, especially against bosses where it doesn't have much single target damage anyway. In group play, Iron Eye is insanely good. He fits really well into any party composition. Since he's not gear intensive once he gets a good status bow, you're not fighting over loot like other classes might. But the most underrated thing is being able to revive teammates from range. Honestly, can't overstate how big of a deal this is. Being able to balance staying alive and safe while bringing back your teammates is super useful and is a game changer. Another useful aspect of your kit is your ult. Especially when speed and efficiency is key in Nightreign, camps that might take your team 30-40 seconds to clear can be wiped out in one fell swoop. And if you mark an enemy first using your skill, it can do twice as much damage as Wilder's ult. And finally, for the weapons you're going to be looking for is simply going to be bows with status effects. Bleed, poison, sleep, frost, any of these will massively boost your effectiveness, especially if you find exactly the right type of effect that bosses are weak to. Don't forget you can use grease on bows too, so even if you don't find a status bow early, you can add poison grease, frost grease, or other effects to get that build up going. The weapon progression with Iron Eye should focus on upgrading rather than constantly switching. Once you get a bow with a good status effect or damage bonus, stick with it and upgrade it using smithing stones from merchants. So that's pretty much it. Check out this guide on an epic bleed build next.